Microinverters or string inverters? Who is the perfect match for your residential application? Today, we will find out.
Hi everyone, I am Jez.
And I'm Charmaine, and you're watching Tech Titans here on ENF Trade TV. Let's meet the experts of today's episode. Hi, Fan and Schumann, please introduce yourselves.
Okay, thank you, Charmaine. Yes, my name is Fan Wang. I'm the CTO of a company called Northern Electric Power. We have our factories in China and Thailand. And also we have a manufacturing partner in US. Our products have been exported to globally to almost 30, 40 countries.
Hi everyone, I'm Schumann and I'm from Lefor Energy Storage Company from China. We've also got another branch in our company called One Host that's mainly in charge of solar mounting structure and solar mounting racks. We've been in the solar industry for over a decade, and we've also delivered many megawatt projects throughout the world, especially in Japanese market that's well known for its very high and strict industrial criteria.
Want to skip ahead? Use the chapter markers below or speed us up to watch faster.
So let's have a little warm-up before we get to more in-depth discussion. Fan, let us start with you. So between microinverters and other inverter types for residential and rooftops, how do technical and market factors influence the choice of installers?
I would say microinverter is relatively young compared to the other technologies. Now the trend is now moving beyond just for residential. More and more people like to use this technology for different reasons, like for safety. For the past 10 years, people added, for example, they need arc fault detection because they see that the thing can be damaged if there's the arc fault from the string inverter. They have a high DC voltage. And now, after 2007, starting from US and Canada, they added this repetition requirement. Now this requirement becomes also mandatory, not just in North America, but also in countries like Brazil or Southeast Asia.
Interesting insight, Fan. Thank you. Now going to you, Schumann. In dealing with partial shading and complex roof setups, how have modern string inverters improved?
Well, modern string inverters nowadays have evolved significantly in how they handle real-world rooftop complexity, especially thanks to the design of Multi-MPPT design, which allows different roof plans, orientations, or shading conditions to be managed independently within the same inverter. So combined with this improved MPPT algorithm, nowadays the string inverters can recover much more energy under partial shading than compared to the past.
That's a great warm-up from both sides. Now let's take it to the next level and let's dive into performance and system design. Just fire away.
I'll take it from here, Charmaine. Let's start on the side of microinverters. Fan. On a flat roof with no shade, what are microinverters optimizing? And why are the extra electronics worth it?
So the reason, two reasons. First one is there's a mismatch from the solar panels. Even the roof is flat, the solar panel are not identical. There's a mismatch. So you can still see a little bit of gain from the individual power tracking. So that will give you a little bit of benefit. But I would say the main benefit by using the microinverters because of safety. Because for string inverter, you're going to see 600 watts, 1000 watts, and by some countries, you even see 1500 watt DC voltage. That is very risky on the roof. So that's why I would say even for flat roof, that's the biggest advantage for microinverter is the safety.
Good point, Fan. Going to you, Schumann. If shade hits a few panels, does one MPPT really smooth it out or just average the pain across the whole string?
Yes, the multi-MPPT string inverters don't average losses. They actually isolate the losses. And by how? Well, each MPPT tracks a separate operating point. So shaded modules on one roof plan don't dictate the performance of the others. And so basically with these multi-MPPT designs, shaded panels are grouped under one tracker, while unshaded panels, they can be managed by another tracker in another group. All these energy losses from shaded modules are contained instead of spreading across the entire system. So that's how energy is recovered, and by allowing unaffected panels to continue producing at their maximum potential.
Fan, back to you. When you're using large format, high wattage modules, what DC voltage range are most microinverters designed to work with?
So most of the microinverters are designed for the silicon-based solar panels. The DC voltage normally is, the operating voltage is normally between 20 volt to 60 volt. That covers 90% of silicon-based solar panels, unless for some solar panels like First Solar, or they use different technology, their voltage is a bit high. And also, like in countries like in North America, US, Canada, Mexico, they can see the safety voltage is 80 volt. So normally that's why also mainly the solar panel is below that voltage. So what I'm saying is for most of the microinverters, they can work within this range. They can work with majority of the solar panels in market.
So Fan, when roofs get really hot, what helps your microinverters stay cool?
Yes, the microinverter normally is like with a metal case, and also with when there's like a temperature protection. If the temperature is extremely high, you're gonna see temperature degrades. On the other hand, now with the technology development, now the inverter is very high efficient, like 96, 97% efficiency. You want to leave a little bit gap between the inverter to the roof and to the panel. We don't see a main issue with the inverter even working in very hot areas. I would say like the temperature is not a main issue as long as the installer follows the guidelines in the installation guide. That's not a big issue.
Schumann, to you again. When one panel ages faster than the rest, do string inverters manage the mismatch, or just let the whole string take an early retirement together?
I would say that this module mismatch is a reality in all PV systems, not just string inverters, but also in microinverter system as well. It's quite inevitable. MPPT optimizations in a proper string inverter design can help to minimize the impact of a weaker module or older modules. So this mismatch of panels, they also develops very gradually and slowly. So this can allow string inverter system to maintain still a very stable long-term yield without like a sudden performance collapse.
That covers my questions for this round. Charmaine, back to you.
Good round, Jess. Okay, so now we've talked about how these inverters handle shade, mismatch, and heat. Now let's take it to the next round and talk about installation and maintenance. Jess, what do you have there for us?
Fan, with all the extra wiring and per panel setup, do microinverters streamline installs? Or just give installers more chances to mess things up?
If you look at the microinverter, okay, so it's always trade-off. If you look at the microinverters market, like for example in US, everybody knows the labor cost is high over there. That's why the majority microinverters in US is single. So a single panel or maximum for 2 panels. You can connect 2 panels to one inverter. But in other areas, like in Brazil or in other, like in Southeast Asia, in Europe even, when the labor cost is not that high, people are willing to take more complicated product. You can connect 4 panels to one inverter. But because obviously when we do that, the material cost will be lower per watt. But in general, I would say normally for the installation for microinverter is competitive with or comparable with a string inverter. Given the extra work in commissioning, Fan, do microinverters have more chances of errors during installation than string inverters? I would say this way. So because that's a little bit different thing is most of the microinverters, they have a panel level monitoring. So that's why people, it's a little bit different compared to the string inverter. I mean, without optimizer, okay? If you talk about string inverter with optimizer, they're virtually the same as a microinverter for the installation commissioning. So we are talking about the traditional string inverter without optimization. So for that one, you don't have a panel level monitoring. So you just measure the string voltage, you connect things together. But for microinverter, that's one additional step compared to the string inverter. We developed several tools, okay, from the app, from like hardware, try to make it simplified. To simplify this step, but this is an additional step compared to the string inverter. Even something wrong with the panel, you know which panel has a problem. So people are willing to pay this just a little bit labor to get this done, but compared to the long-term benefit, I think it's worth it.
That's a fair point. Your turn, Schumann. When troubleshooting, does string level monitoring localize faults precisely, or does it require rooftop detective work?
Yes, a string level monitoring can quickly identify which string or MPPT is underperforming, and this can narrow down the troubleshooting dramatically before a technician even need to step on the roof. String inverters continuously monitor electrical parameters like voltage, current, and power at the string and MPPT level. So when a fault occurs, the inverter can detect abnormal patterns such as unexpected voltage drops or current imbalances. This can allow the technician to know where to look before going on top of the roof. In this way, the troubleshooting time can be dramatically reduced. So yeah, that's basically how it works.
Okay, Schumann, when a string underperforms, what on-screen indicator tells the owner the most likely location?
Yes, there are actually around 4 kinds of on-screen indicators. So the first kind of on-screen indicator will be about some error fault codes. So it will show you like what's the problem with the specific code, for example, like F13. E07. The second kind of on-screen indicator will be something about warning symbols or some icons, such as the most common one is the exclamation mark, okay, or like within a triangle. So that's the most common one. And the other type of on-screen indicator would be something like status messages, like the grid voltage is high, or overload symbol text. The last but not least, in on-screen indicator will be something like abnormal performance data, okay, is something like a sudden permanent drop in power output or the sudden permanent drop in total energy compared to the normal conditions.
Thanks, Schumann. On the operations and maintenance side, Fan, if your cloud or app gets discontinued, can installers still swap one unit? Or does the whole system face an early retirement?
No, well, hopefully our monitoring will be always there, okay, because we that's stored on the cloud. What I see is sometimes the cloud is there, but for the homeowner or the customers, internet goes down. That happened. So the monitoring can get like jammed or because of the internet issue. They can disconnect occasionally. But the thing is for the microinverter system, this monitoring and performance are separate. So even you don't have the monitoring, or even the internet is down, the inverter will still work. But for the monitoring, yes, if the internet got affected, it's going to be affected. Obviously, if the server is down, then the customer's monitoring may get affected. But the energy harvest is not affected.
Say one microinverter fails years later, can you do a drop-in replacement, or does the whole system need to be reconfigured?
No, even you have one inverter down, the total system is, see, you have 20 inverters, so you have 20 microinverters on the roof. And if only one microinverter is down, you only lose like 5% of power harvest. The others are not affected. First, because of the monitoring, you know exactly which inverter has a problem. Second, when you do that, you don't need to turn down the system. You just go to that string, just replace that inverter. That's it.
Easy swap. Good. Schumann, if an inverter fails, does everything pause, or can the system stay online while you swap it out? How is downtime minimized?
Quick answer, no. So modern string systems now, they are typically designed with multiple MPPTs, and they are specifically designed for multiple inverters. If one unit fails, the rest of the system can still maintain optional. The string inverters design are centralized. This centralization makes the replacement much faster, safer. So if a replacement is needed, for example, the technicians don't have to access they don't have to step on top of the roof directly. So as a result, this diagnostics, repair, and replacement can be all completed much more quickly and in a string inverter system.
All right, Schumann. Appreciate it. Another informative one. Charmaine, take it away.
So which side are you on right now? Do you like the panel level visibility of microinverters, or does the centralized advantage of string inverters fit your project better? Drop your answers in the comment. And while you're at it, let's go into our last round of reliability, cost, and scalability. Jess?
In Retrofit, Fan, how do you mix old and new microinverters or panels? And what do you check to make sure they work together?
So normally for the old panel, you can use new inverter, no problem. But for new panel, typically you don't want to use the old inverter. The reason is just because the power is more of a factor. Think about that for like our first generation product. That output power is only like 250 watt per panel. That's almost like 15 years ago. Now the mainstream solar panel is like 440 watt, or even sometimes 500. So you don't want to use such a tiny microinverter for such a big panel. On the other hand, if you have an old panel, we still do some occasionally, very occasionally we see customers do the retrofit. They have like low power panels, and they want to use a new inverter. At that time, we tell them, okay, they can save some money. They can put like 2 panels in parallel. They use this like we call it a Y connector. They connect 2 panels put together and put inside to one inverter, so that they can pretty much they use one inverter to drive 2 panels. Because now the new inverter is so much more powerful compared to the old ones. So people can be very creative to save money and take advantage of the new technology.
So it really comes down to needs and situations. Now, to you, Schumann, On the string inverter side, if someone wants to add batteries later or move to higher watt panels, is that usually a straightforward upgrade or a full-blown renovation?
Well, this is actually where string inverters really shows its advantage and strengths. So, string inverters, they are inherently scalable, which means many or most of the models, they are storage ready or hybrid capable. And this can allow the batteries to be added later with minimal changes. And also, not just the batteries, but also the panels. Okay, the higher output panels can often be accommodated through the string configuration rather than a full system replacement, such as for a 10 kilowatt hybrid inverter, even though it's marked as 10 kilowatts, but like its real PV inputs can actually be up to 12 kilowatt. So that means even in the future, the user wants to replace to a larger, higher output of panels, it can still, the same inverter model can still accept a higher PV input. So nowadays, the design of string inverters are actually quite scalable, and for either batteries operation or the panels operation.
Coming to the safety protocol, Fan, if safety protocols require shutting down all PV circuits during a microinverter swap, does one failure still cause full system downtime and repeated interruptions?
No, typically not. Because if you want to shut down if you want to shut off all the microinverters, that's easy. You just switch off the AC switch, and then all the inverter will go to the anti-idling mode, will disconnect. But normally all the microinverters are in parallel. So if you have one inverter damaged, that will not affect the other inverters because they all go in parallel. It's like Christmas light. You have like one bulb burned, you just replace that bulb. You will not like turn off the whole tree. You just like everyone separate.
Okay, that's the physical side. Now for the digital threat side of reliability. Schumann, if a hacker locks out your inverter network, do you have a security plan or just hope it knows a solution?
So nowadays, our modern string inverters, they actually use quite a few approaches to minimize the effect of cyber attacks, such as using encrypted communication or secure authentication, or even segmented network architectures. They will use all these kind of approaches to work as a safeguard to the whole solar system. By adapting to all these approaches, cloud losses by cyber attack, for example, doesn't really mean power losses. So that means even if communication is disrupted, the inverter can actually still operating and functioning locally. In this way, the energy production doesn't really just simply drops or stops.
That's all from me. Solid answers, Fan and Schumann.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining our show today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well.
If this helped, like, share and subscribe. And tell us in the comments which side you're on.
This has been Tech Titans. See you on the next one on ENF Trade TV.